Welcome to another episode of Give and Go, SI.com's critically acclaimed web series, where we debate three of the biggest storylines in the NBA. In today's episode, we discuss the future of another rising star in Oklahoma City, more trouble in Big D, and Atlanta's recent losing streak. Joining me now is the latest writer to sell out and move to Southern California, SI.com's Ben Golliver. I see you brought your bookshelf with you, Ben. Very nicely done.
Upgraded bookshelf. All right, give me full credit here. And yeah, it's nice down here. Sorry you guys are freezing to death still in the Northeast. Maybe you can come visit.
Yeah, we still have our souls, though, don't we? All right, topic number one. The hits keep on coming in Dallas. The Mavericks dropped 2 straight over the weekend and sit in 7th place right now in the Western Conference. Rick Carlisle blasted his team's effort, and Monte Ellis' struggles have hit a season low. Ben, what do you make of the latest drama in Dallas?
Chris, I think Rick Carlisle is trying to push every button, but at some point, if your talent isn't there and your depth isn't there, I'm not sure how much more you can get out of it. I kind of feel like he's kind of, wrung all the water out of the towel. I mean, they're just not that good. I think they've got some nice pieces. They've got, a fairly good starting lineup. But when you look in the Western Conference from the start of the season till now, they've always basically been sort of a third-tier type team. I think that's where they're going to be going into these playoffs. I don't think they scare anybody. And I think if you're most of the teams in the West, you would love to play them in a first-round series because you understand their defense isn't great. You understand that they don't really have a bench. And their offense has really been inconsistent because Dirk hasn't been at that super elite level and Ellis has kind of fallen off a cliff. And then there's the Rondo thing, and the Rondo fit hasn't been great either. So they just have so many more questions to me than the other teams in the Western Conference. I'm not totally shocked by this. I'm not totally surprised by this. I think they're going to end the season pretty much where we thought they would, and that's okay. It's just too tough out in the West for them. They weren't ready for it this year.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that things have derailed so quickly. I mean, I was a big proponent of Rajon Rondo and what he can do on the floor, but you're right. He just has been a horrible fit all the way throughout. Now, from what I hear, the relationship between Rondo and Carlisle has gotten better over the last month or so, but you watch this team on the floor, and the body language of the fellow Mavericks players when they're playing with Rondo, it just tells a story. It just looks like they're frustrated at times by Rondo's over-dribbling and his penchant just holding on to the basketball and making the pass at the last minute. So I think Dallas is in a bit of a predicament here because they made a big deal. They gave up a lot of real assets to get Rondo. Now they're stuck with a guy who, if they let him walk away, they don't have somebody that can take his place. But if they bring him back, are they a championship team? And will Rondo fit in playing for Rick Carlisle in this system?
Well, it seems like they faced a lot of decisions, right? I mean, you got Tyson Chandler, you got Monte Ellis, you got Rondo. I mean, you got decisions up and down this roster. And I'm still okay with the gamble they made on that Rondo trade just because you had to try to do something to put the team over the top midseason to try to make the most out of Dirk's sort of last gasp. But yeah, it didn't work. I mean, he has improved their defense a little bit, but the offense has fallen off far more. In hindsight, do you do that move again? If you're them, maybe, maybe not. And then looking forward, I'm not sure you necessarily need to bend over backwards to try to keep him. I mean, if somebody like the Lakers or some other team out there comes at him with a huge offer and they're ready to make him sort of the face of the franchise, that type of a point guard, if you're Dallas, I think you have to know when to say when and just let him go and go a different direction.
Yeah, I've been convinced for a while that the Lakers are going to give Rondo that 4-year type of max deal. It's going to make the Mavericks, put them in a position where they're either going to have to match it, and they obviously can't necessarily match it because he's not restricted, but they're going to have to pony up real cash to keep him or else watch him walk away for nothing. All right, topic number 2. The future of Kevin Durant is a heavily debated topic, but there is another Thunder star set to hit free agency a year earlier. Enes Kanter, the center who was acquired from Utah at the trade deadline, will be a restricted free agent this summer. Ben, what do you think the market is for Kanter, and do you think Oklahoma City should match an 8-figure per year contract?
Man, that would be real dicey for me. I mean, he's been a great fit, first of all. Let's start there. I mean, offensively, he probably wasn't doing everything he could do in Utah, or maybe he wasn't getting the love for it. Now that he's in a pretty good fit position-wise and with a point guard, Russell Westbrook, who's setting him up pretty well, all of a sudden he's blossoming, he's flourishing a little bit. But he's a one-way guy. I mean, this guy doesn't play defense. He's not a rim protector, and that's why he's such a good fit in Oklahoma City because you've got Ibaka, you've got a big, long center in Adams when he's healthy. I mean, he fits with their other front court pieces, and he also fits with their style. They like to play big a lot, and he can do that for you at that 4 position. So to me, he's a one-way guy, and I'm not crazy about paying one-way guys, the 8 figures that you're talking about. But if I'm his camp and I just watched him languish a little bit in Utah for the last couple of years, and now I'm seeing how well he's playing in Oklahoma City. I'd be very inclined to try to make things work with the Thunder, to try to find a number that works for both sides, because it seems like a really nice fit, going forward into the future.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma City should and will match any significant offer for Enes Kanter. Number one, I agree with you. I'm not sure that Kanter's a starting type center. I don't know if I want him being my fixture at the 5 spot, but I think Steven Adams is going to improve over the next couple of years and be a consistent starting guy. And then you bring in Kanter off the bench, have him play against second units, give you 12 to 15 points per game. And if he does have a hot hand in the fourth quarter and he's not so bad defensively that you have to keep him off the floor, he can be that low post presence to balance out that offense between Durant and Westbrook.
No question. We saw this season a big change from Sam Presti. I mean, it was always about the slow play, playing out, maximizing assets and all of that. And this year we saw him cash in a lot of assets to go and get Dion Waiters, to go and get Kanter, to move Reggie Jackson out, get Augustin and Singler and all these other pieces that he brought in at the deadline. I mean, it's clear he's feeling the pressure of that Kevin Durant, ticking time bomb coming up next summer. So they would be in a much different situation. Like going back to the Rondo thing, I don't think Dallas would be crippled if they lost Rondo for nothing. But if Sam Presti walks away from all the midseason moves and he's not able to retain Kanter, I think that would be a big blow for their overall direction.
Yeah, and look, I'll tell you right now that if everyone comes back healthy next year, if Kanter is re-signed, the general improvement of the Kyle Singlers of the world and other guys that are on that Oklahoma City bench, I would make the Thunder a kind of a co-favorite right up there with Golden State to win the championship next season. I really believe that. All right, topic number 3. Hit the panic button in Atlanta. The Hawks have dropped 3 straight and all of a sudden are gasp. Only 8 games up on Cleveland for the top seed in the Eastern Conference. Seriously though, Ben, are there any long-term issues with this recent Hawks skid?
Well, I'll tell you what, they got made look like the JV team against the Spurs. I mean, that was a real butt kicking, and it was sort of one of those things of the master showing the pupil, hey, we can still do this better than you can. Our talent is still better than yours. I don't know if that means it's time to panic if you're Atlanta. I mean, it's one of these things where the expectations just swing so wildly. You go on that big winning streak in December and January, and all of a sudden you got to be a championship favorite. I'm not sure that they were ever that. I think they're still in the conversation with Cleveland. But if I'm going to run down the teams that can win the title in order right now, my list goes Golden State 1, San Antonio 2, Cleveland 3, Memphis 4, and then probably Atlanta 5. So, are they going to be able to make the Eastern Conference Finals? I think that's certainly possible. I mean, the big X factor, I think, in this conversation, though, is Chicago Bulls. Can they get healthy, and how do they match up? But, to me, it's still well within their grasp to get to the conference finals, and then they're going to have to try to do what nobody else has done here over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's beat LeBron in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I'm not totally confident that they can do that, but I don't think that the last week or so of basketball makes me want to jump off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, I get that master-pupil relationship. I have that with you every time you come on the show. But look, I'm not panicking at all when it comes to this Oklahoma City or this Atlanta stretch because they had spent most of the last 2 weeks on the road. In 2 of the 3 losses, Kyle Korver didn't play. They just won the Southeast Division crown, whatever that means. And I think there is still a bit of apathy at this point in the season with such a big lead on it, Cleveland in the Eastern Conference, and really a limited chance of even catching Golden State for the top overall seed in the NBA. I think they need some incentive, and they'll get that as they get into April. Right now, I still think this Atlanta team is still the same team we've seen throughout the course of this season. And I would still make them a favorite over the Cleveland Cavaliers, over Toronto, over Chicago, over every team in the Eastern Conference because they play as a team. The core of this Atlanta Hawks group, Jeff Teague, Al Horford, even guys like Millsap and Korver who have been there a couple of years, they've got some continuity. They've got some good chemistry playing together, and I think that will be a major factor in the success of this team in the postseason.
I hear you. And then when I look at the East, I see 2 teams that can win it right now, Cleveland and Atlanta. And I think that could have the chance to be one of the best playoff series we've seen in a while, maybe since that Celtics versus Cavaliers Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago out of the East. I think it really has a chance to be that.
Yeah, I think it can be great, too. One thing about those Hawks teams in the last 4 or 5 years, even when they weren't very good, the 8th seed, they still gave every team they played a pretty good fight in the postseason. So I think they've got a lot of fight in them, and they'll be a tough out for any team to play. All right, great job, Ben. Go get yourself, I don't know, a kale smoothie, some coconut oil, whatever it is you people do out there, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, I'm going to hit the paddleboard. I'll catch you later.
Nice work. All right, that's it for Give and Go. Catch us this week and every week right here on SI.com.